For the second day, clashes have been ongoing between Syrian regime forces and the YPG in the northeastern Syrian city of Al-Hasaka. Regime bombers have carried out airstrikes for the first time against the group's positions in the city. At least one civilian and 4 regime soldiers have been killed in the fighting. Activists say that thousands have fled to the countryside. Since mid-2012, Al-Hasaka city has been contested between the Syrian regime and the YPG militants. Well, our Ediz Tiyansan joins me now from the southern Turkish city of Mersin, which is near the Syrian border. Ediz, let's start off with this task force. Now, this humanitarian task force that was meeting on Syria was postponed. It was deemed useless. Give us a little bit more background on this meeting, why it was called off.
Well, Alican, this is a routine weekly meeting, and it's quite an important meeting because every week the UN Special Envoy Staffan de Mistura, along with the humanitarian task force chief, gets together with American and Russian representatives. They are the co-chairs in Geneva to assess the situation on the ground and to make sure they can provide all the humanitarian relief that is necessary, that is urgently necessary right now in Syria. But it was quite an important statement that came from de Mistura. He said this is a symbol of concern that we're carrying right now. He said that this is useless to have this meeting right now when the fighting is ongoing on the ground, as UN has already said that this fighting has prevented aid delivery to the majority of the areas in need for the past 110 days. And a number of people living in those areas, both besieged and so-called hard-to-reach areas as designated by the United Nations, has now reached 5.5 million. And that is a 900,000 increase since the beginning of this year. So in response, the United Nations repeatedly calls for a 48-hour truce in which there could be a sustainable ceasefire so that they can provide these operations. But at this point, we're waiting for de Mistura to resume this meeting between the American and Russian partners so that they can discuss the facts on the ground in a more serious manner.
It is a very brief, very quick update on the Syrian regime forces attacking Al-Hasaka.
Well, they have been attacking Aleppo and Idlib constantly, along with their Russian allies. But now the scope of targets seems to have increased, have rather extended to Hasaka. Now, the control of the city up until recently, had been mutually shared in a rather peaceful way between the pro-regime militia group on one hand and the American-backed Syrian Democratic Forces, the majority of which is composed of YPG. But lately, there has been escalations, especially in the border area between the two groups, and there's been mutual kidnappings. And now we see that the Syrian regime is playing a more active role, actually conducting airstrikes on the Kurdish SDF forces areas. And this shows that there is a significant change in the battle tactics and in the strategy. And now the Syrian regime is actively targeting American interests in Hasaka.
All right, our Ediz Tiyansan live for us in Mersin. Thank you.